You, me, and Mama. Now, is it
You're
now?
you're you're in. You're
It's now.
now.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful day. Oh wait, why is there an echo? Hold on. Oops, my bad. um, welcome to the workshop. Thank you guys for coming in here today. This is our third workshop of our workshop series. Today we're gonna have Adori-tan presenting a workshop on how to design outfits that match your brand. I've seen Adori's work. It's beautiful, incredible. So this is the right person to present this today. Hope you all are very excited for it because I am. Yeah. Go ahead, Adori, take it away.
Ah, geez, Yoro, you're so kind. Ah, alrighty, ready. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome to VTuber Closets. I'll be your host today, Adori. I am a freelance illustrator that focuses on character illustration and design. I've been doing freelance work on and off for about 3 years now, and currently I stream on Twitch as a VTuber myself. Let's see here. So, outfit design is one of my favorite subjects to study, and it's also a service I offer personally for my work. That being said, this class is more going to be focused on designing clothing and the designing process, not how to draw clothing. However, if you are interested in future drawing related classes, I'll be happy to host other workshops in the future. Just let me know. For this workshop, there are 4 points that will be covered, that being how to prioritize what you want in a design, what makes a readable theme, the outfit design process that I use personally, as well as graphic design tricks that sell your avatar. And throughout this workshop, I will be referencing the design process of my own avatar, as well as other designs I have done in the past. You'll see some of these examples here, most notably the one I recently did. I believe I showed it in the chat as well, in the Discord, for Nimu. She had asked me for some help, and we kind of went through the consultation that I'll be showing today. And these were some of the designs I created. These are not the finals, but these did help her kind of get an idea of what she wanted. So let's begin. The most common issue that a lot of designers start off with is just having too many ideas. There's nothing wrong with a good amount of ideas, but too many do make it hard to find a starting point. During my consultation with clients, there are some common questions that I ask, and those being the ones that you'll see here. Starting off with, how do others describe your character? If you have debuted or you're streaming currently, ask your audience, or just see what your audience says about you. What do they say when they see you? If you haven't debuted yet, be sure uh, ask people you trust that what are some words that they would say describe you. These descriptive words usually are just like one word things, such as like cute, mature, maybe childlike, bright, intelligent. It goes on and on. When you hear this feedback, ask yourself, how would you like them to describe you? Are the words that they say they see in your character what you want them to see? If not, what are those words that you would like them to describe you as? Next, think about the overall theme of your character. We'll be getting a bit more into this in a second, but just keep that in mind. And the last couple of questions tie together. Consider other VTubers, entertainers, or characters you look up to or enjoy watching. These can be like anime characters, people you see in the movies, people you see online that you maybe follow. What styles do they wear? Or is there anything that they wear that you would like to see on your own character? And while you're asking these questions, write them down for reference later. Note taking is just a very important step for this in the process. And like any project, research is going to be the bulk of the process. I'm going to be honest right here. It's like For me, it's always been 70-80% research, and then the latter 20-10% is actual drawing designs. If you don't know where to start, the best place is to start with what you know. The first place I looked at for my own model personally is my own closet. So, as your character is a part of you, what you wear might be something they wear, even if they're not exactly modern based. So, they could be fantasy or sci fi. Think about things like how you style a certain item of clothing, what cuts and fits you like, what accessories you wear, what patterns or details you find on your clothing. So, for example, does your clothing include like a lot of buttons? Does it include a certain pattern? What in your outfits yourself can you possibly put on your character? For me, I found out that I really liked the mixture of a comfy blend of like oversized clothing, shirts that show midriff, and kind of a blend of, I guess, Japanese streetwear. I feel like that was one of the most common things I noticed in my own. After looking through your wardrobe, think about what you may not have personally in your wardrobe that you would like to add. Okay, so remember when I said we'll get into themes? This is where we're going to get into it. Every model will have a main theme that is the basis for your overall design and lore. It can be as abstract as the concept of chaos and time, concrete, such as food, a monster, a grocery clerk. Make sure your theme is something you will be okay with keeping up with, as this will be the starting point for your designs. So the thing about a theme is that it will be very similar to everybody else, but it's your own personal spin on it that will make the design more unique and for yourself. When researching for your design, look at similar concepts and take notes of anything that you notice that's similar, such as colors and patterns, and what can make them unique, such as how they style the hair, the accessories, what kind of things they add. Do they add like jackets, or do they add flowing skirts, things like that? I stress this a lot, but being aware of how similar a theme is translated by others can expand your knowledge on the same design. And do you feel like something you would like to add in your design isn't there? This will help give you an idea of how to differentiate yourself. How can you add what you want in? So this is going to be its own separate thing, because I find myself talking about it a lot when I'm consulting with people. When I was studying graphic design and psychology, I learned that colors really have an effect on your audience. A lot of branding and adverts use colors to give a first impression before any information is given. Colors say more than you realize. You're free to screenshot this chart for reference. This is kind of, I would say, the basis, or not the basis, but like the most basic and simplistic cut down, because as you know, usually blending certain colors, mixing and matching, they're all going to create a different meaning. But it's a good starting point. Some of these descriptive words are things that I commonly hear when these colors are associated with them. So also note that the different, how to put this, brightness and saturation. So things like pastels, bright colors, muted colors, just using darks, they also will affect how the color looks to people. And I know as I'm researching, I'll come across illustrations, pictures that I find and want to save for later, which leads to my favorite part, creating a mood board. So it was traditionally done with just printing out pictures and putting them on a poster. You can say this as back in the days when we would print anime pictures onto our binders. I don't know if anybody still does that. But yeah. Modern times, you can even just put it all together on a digital canvas, all your inspirations put together. Some people just keep it as a file on their computer or their phone so that way they can have it with them. And as controversial as it is in the art community, websites like Pinterest are also a good place to save ideas. I've also seen people get into the habit of saving things in a personal Discord server that nobody else can see but them. It's something I've started doing as well, and it really helps when I'm looking for links. So, words of warning when creating a mood boards. As you're creating your collection, try to keep it a balance of actual photos and illustration work. This is coming from an artist. Please note that not every artist will like having their work referenced. So be aware if you're going to save a work. Make sure that artist did not put anywhere that they don't want you to not reference their work. Your mood board can also include things that may not be related to clothing, but inspire the design. The more you get to know your character, you will find that the mood board ideas will change. There's nothing wrong with that. Just what first work will change as you continue and you get to know your character and yourself. These next two samples are just characters I have designed personally and kind of a sample of the mood boards I have created for them. So this first one here is a V singer that I am currently working on, Utane Mina. And don't worry, she's not part of any NDAs. Her main theme is Space Idol. At the time of concept, I was looking at retro space age fashion, so things like from the 60s, the Jetsons, things like that, as well as just bright pastel colors. As I started designing her, people were comparing her with the main character from Space Channel 5, and I can see it. So that has also been part of the inspiration for her design. The palette I picked is a mix of brights and pastels, as she is a very energetic character, and bright colors will usually make people think energy. But then contrasting with the pastels to help kind of tone it down, keep it calm. For the second design, this is a magical girl character that I'm working on. Her design is not final, but this is the one I've been working with. The character's story is based on florography, which is the meaning of flowers, like all flowers have a meaning. Hers is the sakura, so a lot of her design is based around Japanese elements and anime references. As you can see, Precure is a big influence, so I was sure to add those kind of references in, using the designs from those concept artists for the show. I kept her palette mainly pink and red. I added red in so that way she would pop out instead of fading into the background. And for this last bit, just common advice that I've received over the years that I want to share with you all. This one I put by itself because it's so important. Less is always more. When designing outfits, versatility and readability is key. If you have too much going on, people aren't going to want to pay attention, or if you don't have enough going on, people might ignore you. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. Using things like contrasting colors, asymmetry, these are kind of common ways to help make your design easy on the eyes. The examples I have here are from Hololive. I use them because they are one of the most well-known of the VTubers, I feel. And their designs range so much. The one on... is it the right? I believe it's the right. It's hard It's hard to tell if it's going to be flipped. But the one on the right, Tokino Sora, this was her first design. Very simple, very straightforward, just idle. And as the years have gone by, her design has evolved, as well as others coming in. They'll have more, how to put this, extravagant elements added in. There we go. Just because your design isn't the norm or isn't as crazy as others can be, it doesn't make it lazy. For me, there is no such thing as a lazy design. I see this a lot in people complaining about designs. There's no such thing as a lazy design. Everybody sees the same theme differently, as I had said earlier. What you may see for the concept of space, someone else doesn't see differently. And if all else fails, please consider the fan artists. Please consider the fan artists. We love drawing, you guys. But too much is too much sometimes. And while there is more I would hope to get into detail for in the future, we are a little limited on time. So for me, closing remarks here, at least for the presentation portion, your body's character type, or your character's body type, will change how something looks. I always say create a base of your character, so that way you can see how one fit looks on your design. Your first designs are usually not going to be the final. There's going to be things you want to explore, there's going to be things that you feel could be better. That being said, save every design that you create. You never know if you'll reference them later. For me, I have several in my sketchbook that I didn't get a chance to put in here that I have been keeping safe for later. I have actually been using them to create my current second model. Eye catches and charm points, which are, to put it simply, like things like logos or accessories. These make a big difference and help your outfit pop. Something like a necklace, or adding something like a necklace, or adding like bracelets, or even like striped stockings, things like that. They make the two similar outfits stand out and make them look a little different. If you are planning to get a VTuber model, consult your riggers. If all else fails, consult your riggers. They will also be a big help in knowing the limitations that you might have. So if you're struggling to figure out, do I want to add wings? Do I want to add a giant ribbon? Consult the rigger. They may tell you, well, yes, but consider this. Yes, but also, or no, this may not be easy to make it balanced. They do know what they're doing. And of course, no matter what you wear, your personality will make you stand out the most. It'll take you farther than you realize. There's no pressure to be, I put extravagant, but there's no pressure to be as unique as possible sometimes. You as a person, your design may bring people in, but your personality will keep them. And yeah, apologies if I sounded a bit anxious. I am not used to talking to everybody. I'm not used to presentations, but thank you so much for listening in. I really appreciate having this time. I was told that there would be questions. Did we have any?
There are plenty.
Oh, joy.
Once again, a reminder, if you have questions to ask Adori here, the link is in the announcement. I can also put the link in the, one moment, right here. Bada bang, bada boom. All right. If you have questions, now's the time to ask. I'm going to feed you the questions, Adori. And
oh, boy. Okay.
Then we'll go. All right. So let's see. Where's the first question? All right. The first question is, how do you choose your color palette? Picking colors is so hard.
Hmm. I did touch upon it a little bit when I started. Colors are definitely a hard thing to balance. I know this for a fact. I sometimes I feel like my colors are still a mess. Uh, I used color. I studied when I was studying psychology and graphic design. We learned about color psychology and how certain colors mean certain things to people. It also depends. Granted, it also depends on the culture that you are representing and things like that. But generally, the slide I can bring it back up. Yeah, this slide. It's how I started with learning what colors work best. So also make sure it ties into your theme. So green isn't usually used for something like a space theme, but you can possibly incorporate things like teal or aqua, so it has a little bit of green to it. When it comes to colors, it also really depends on who. I think personality is also important. I know color personality is something that is discussed. That's a whole thing on its own. Such as people who would be blue, they're often seen as very intelligent people. They're usually more faithful to things. You can tell that they have a sense of loyalty. As far as like choosing colors, choosing a workable palette, I also recommend something. There is a website called Coolers, Coolers. That one helps you. You get a color that you like, and save that. And as you press the spacebar, it'll create palettes that that work with that color. So you can keep colors that you want, and as you keep pressing spacebar, it'll find more colors, and you'll soon find a palette that you feel is comfortable for you. I'd say, if we're looking for something like a software.
All right.
Yeah.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah, I'm ready for the next one.
All right, next one is, what do you do about the details? Everything I design is plain and I'm bad at adding accessories or details. Are there certain things you would recommend?
That's a good question, because I sometimes feel like my details can be better, but everyone's their own worst critic, you know. Let me see. If I had to say, when it comes to adding details, start with something as simple as maybe adding ruffles or a shape that'll represent the lace. Or if you have, consider what kind of clothing you have. So if you have more street fashion, I know mesh is a big thing in that kind of thing. Stripes, patterns. You can always start with patterns. So stripes, stars, polka dots. That's how I started, was just using different patterns on my clothing and designs. That would help give it more of a starting point. When it comes to detailing, try not to be too intricate. So if you do have something like maybe you add your own logo, make sure your logo isn't as intricate, because depending on the art, it can look pixelated, and it will be hard to see. Let me see. What are some other things that I've noticed with adding details?
Would you be able to describe some of the thoughts that went into the details on the designs that you showed?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, so for an example here, with Mina, this is her original design. She also has another design that I've been working on. I know how to put this. With the details I added, things that I liked. So I usually like seeing floating accessories. So she has these floating rings on her arm. She has the floating planets on her headband. the little floating details on her bow, her ribbon. Sometimes if I feel like it's too plain, adding something in an area that I want it to stand out. That's it. If you want a certain area to stand out, add something there. So for her belt, it looked a little plain. I added the heart. Her arms were looking very plain. I added an armband so that way, one, the asymmetry, and two, I just wanted to have it not just disappear. So if there's a certain place you want people to look, adding a detail there is usually a good way for them to see it. Or in the case of the chest, you don't have to really add anything there. It'll stand out on its own, unfortunately. Yeah, that's one of the most common things I did. If you want something, I keep repeating it, but yeah, if you want something there, just add a detail. Add something there. It can be something small, like just like the flowers I put here on Shuri. Yeah, I think that that's the most common thing I do when I think about when I'm adding details in. Me being awkward as heck. Is there any other questions that we got?
Oh, there's plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just cue me in whenever you're ready for the next one. I'll pitch it to you.
That'll help.
Next one is, what are some of your bigger design inspirations? Where do you look for your references?
Ooh, that's a good question. I follow character designers myself. Well, they don't call themselves character designers. It's more so they love drawing characters and they love drawing outfits, and so they'll always be making reference sheets of these characters. So I also follow a lot of the HoloLive artists because they also work in games, and some of them work in some of them work in games, some of them work in animation. So you'll see their character sheets. I get a lot of reference for my own process there. Another place I usually get my inspirations from is honestly just going to the front page of I use Pinterest a lot. I did say earlier it was a bit controversial because a lot of artists don't like it, because unfortunately sometimes people save your work on Pinterest and it's not credited back to you, so it's hard for people to find you personally. But I do use that a lot. If you just put in a few things that you are interested in, like for me, I put outfits and then I put certain styles. Immediately my page comes up with a bunch of different outfits and things like that. I also tend to follow a lot of, on my personal accounts, I follow a lot of runway bloggers, I guess you can call them, and streetwear blogs. They also give me ideas for outfits. Anytime I see them, it's like I either save them on my phone or I save them online. Bloggers are really honestly how I'm able to find any kind of inspiration. So searching something like streetwear onto Instagram or onto Twitter, you'll find a lot of people with that using those tags. So I would always recommend on social media following certain tags. They will, like on Instagram, I follow the Harajuku tag, so I get a lot of the fashion inspiration there. What are the questions that we got?
All right, next up is, when should you bring in patterns versus leaving it simple?
Yeah, placing patterns is always going to be the hardest part. For me, lately I haven't really been using patterns in my work, as you can see here, because I started out in animation. So for me, adding something... Oh, hold on. Yeah, for me, I started out in animation, so adding things like crazy patterns and things like that is something I'm still learning how to do, because in animation, you don't try to put a lot of patterns because you got to consider that the animators are going to be they're going to be working on the same thing over and over. So trying not to put too many patterns on it makes it easier to animate. However, with patterns, if it's going to be the main focus, try to add it to as many different spots as you can. But also depending on how crazy the pattern is, so things like I've seen things with bright stripes and things like that, keeping them on a smaller space is usually the ideal. Things like florals, they're always going to be the easiest thing to put everywhere. So just try to keep it to one item of clothing. So if you're going to have a jacket, keep the pattern on the jacket, or keep it on the shirt underneath the jacket, and everything else kind of not as so just keep the pattern in one. Keeping the pattern in one spot is usually your best bet, and helping it not go too crazy. My recommendations are always just like keep it to one section of the pants or skirt, or the top. That's usually a good place to start. Let's see. What's the next question we got?
Okay, next question. What are some good charm points for different character types?
Ooh. I did see earlier someone had mentioned having a snow elf. So alluding to things, I'll use that as a good example. For charm points, adding things like snowflakes or crystals. I know crystals can also be associated with, like clear crystals, they can be associated with winter because it resembles ice. That's a good way to add that kind of charm point. For things like flowers, just having even just the flower in the person's hair or somewhere on their clothing that isn't necessarily just pinned to the chest. I feel like that's a good way to incorporate that. You'll see it a lot in different characters that they'll have something relating to what either what they are or what they do somewhere on them. I noticed with Bale, she has little plushy rats, and she even has the rat on her head. So not only does her mouth, ears, and tail symbolize she's a rat, having the little plushies also helps. I'm trying to think if there's any other things that I know with charm points. But yeah, usually charm points, the best place to put them are somewhere near your face, somewhere on the chest, or even somewhere near your hips, because those are going to be the places that mostly people will pay attention to on your model, especially when you're streaming. All right. What are some of the questions we have?
All right. Can you describe some examples of good character design for popular types of characters, like evil characters, innocent characters, greedy characters, how to bring in a theme, that kind of thing?
Let's see here. Usually with characters like the villainous kind of characters, having a bit of an edge to them, so something I refer to it as sharp, but just usually villainous characters will have a more sleek design in their clothing. It won't be all flared out, because usually if something flared out like a poofy skirt or flared sleeves give off the impression of innocence or even childishness, because it's seen with, like, especially with younger girls, so flared things aren't usually that seen. Trying to keep it more close to the body, that I feel like that's the most common thing with describing with evil characters. Let me see. Mischievous characters, I'm gonna point to Bales again. Mischievous characters tend to have more odd accessories. Like, you're asking yourself why it's there, but they have it anyway because it's fun. If it's fun, it's fun. they're going to keep it that way. They don't really have a care for looking blending in, I guess you can say. For more like morally good characters, they tend to be morally good characters just tend to be more plain clothing. So your everyman, they're gonna not really wear anything too flashy. They're gonna keep their colors pretty. Again, colors are gonna be part of this greatly. The colors aren't gonna be that bright or anything. And honestly, adding a pop of color to sorry, I keep running everywhere. I'm thinking back to the villainous characters, how usually adding a pop of color will again add more of a different meaning. I'm trying to think if there's any other examples I can think of, because I don't like referencing personally like a specific character unless the ones I have here, just for the sake, because I feel like saying good character design is it's all up to the person as well. There's what's commonly worked for, and then there is what's good for you. But yeah, generally, if you're gonna have a villainous character, dark clothing, keeping it more sleek and slim fitted, that's the most common thing to kind of that's the common thing I see for good characters, or for good characters, they usually have things that'll like puff out, flare out. They're not the type to they'll usually have more I usually see them with more accessories and things like that. But I feel like that's all I can really think of off the top of my head at the moment. But what are the what are the questions?
How do you make a really memorable design? I'm worried that they'll be forgettable.
Yeah. So that's like one of the biggest struggles is what I even have that too with a lot of my designs. I'm like, are people going to remember this? Are people going to like this? I think the most common thing is try not to keep it too much like t-shirt and jeans kind of thing. But as I have been saying, adding things like charm points and accessories, just little things that'll stand out on the outfit, that also is one thing I've noticed that a lot of designs that I like have. So try not to go too crazy with the accessories though, because too much of, as I've been saying, too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. So if you add, say, your character likes wearing ribbons, maybe adding a ribbon with a pattern on it on your head, and then adding some ribbons here and there on the bodice or on the pants, those will help it stand out. But if it's all ribbon, it can be a bit of an eyesore. Let me see. Yeah. So definitely adding things that you like also will help. A lot of people like adding shapes such as stars, hearts, diamonds. These are common things that we see, and they even those shapes can mean something. So I know, for example, hearts can mean like love, so people will associate you with the kind person. Stars are for the people who are very energetic, and diamonds usually have some kind of regalness to them. So even using those kind of shapes will help your design stand out. What other questions do we have?
All right. This person says, "You did great. And what about a black, red, and green color palette?"
Black, red, and green. Oh boy. It does give me a bit of a racing kind of look because I normally see it with uh, I normally see it in like race cars and things like that. I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with it, especially adding the black in will help people not think Christmas. Because I know a lot of people associate red, green, and yellow, that combination for Christmas. So adding a color that isn't necessarily associated with it helps it a lot. So black would definitely be a good way to not make people immediately think Christmas. I feel if that's unless that's what you want, then maybe consider something like white for that. But I don't think I've never seen a Christmas related VTuber though. What other
Christmas tree
question?
VTuber.
Christmas tree VTuber. Bet that's gonna happen next year. What other questions do we have?
How do you balance the aspect of Avatar's clothing themes?
I guess what they mean. I'm gonna assume what they mean by that is how far can you push the theme, maybe. And honestly, pushing it is almost limitless. Although there are some things that I would say keep in mind, such as let me think. Because I've seen some people use like it doesn't even seem like it seems too abstract, but it actually still ties in. I'm gonna definitely reference Sana for this, where you wouldn't think she would represent space because of the pinks and the I guess the little accessories in her hair, but the way her dress flows out and ties in, I feel like that helps keep it more related to space. How far can you push it? That's all. I feel like that's always up to you. As you're designing the character, look at, because I know some people, especially with Hololive, they also have alternate outfits. So they'll have like casual outfits or outfits related to a certain holiday. As long as you can keep, I guess, if I'm trying to, I'm thinking like it with Ollie, you can still tell it's her. She still has her zombie aspects, even with her design. So keeping certain things, like maybe you have a similar pattern, try to keep that throughout. If you want to try switching over from, say you have a character that normally wore streetwear, but now you want to wear maybe something more like Lolita fashion, slowly incorporating things that are similar. So things like maybe you'll have a similar pattern, maybe you'll have similar I always feel like accessories really help with the outfit and help keep it tied to another thing, making it look simple. But your character is always going to be themselves. I hope that answered the question. But what else we got here?
All right. We have 2 questions left, so I think we'll end it after this final one. The second to last one is, do you have a favorite software for designing, or is it just trial by fire?
Ooh. Yeah, I don't have a software that I really use for designing. I'm either sketching them out in my sketchbooks. I don't want to think about how many sketchbooks I have, but a lot of them involve just rough thumbnails of designs that I like and that I want to put on the character. If I'm not using my sketchbook, I am just using the drawing software I use is Clip Studio Paint. That's what I used when I was drawing out the sketches for Nemu's outfit designs. Here, I'll go back to that slide. There we go. All of the outfits that I did here were done in Clip Studio. As far as like, if they're talking about doll makers, I've seen a lot of people start with doll makers. There's nothing wrong with that. Pit Crew, or I can't remember the names of the older ones that I remember using when I first started, but those are a good place to start too. I know my partner used Vroid Studios models to start out his design for his outfit, and it helped give his artist an idea of what he wanted. Other than that, I personally don't really use anything other than saving everything either on Pinterest or on my own personal Discord. And the last question
The final question of the night.
of the night. Dun, dun, dun.
What are some things we should avoid when designing?
Oof. When avoiding. So, when I design, I try to keep in mind not to shape and silhouette is a big part of what makes a good design. I should have said that earlier, but yeah, shape and silhouette. Look at the silhouette. If it's very similar, like say you have puffy sleeves on the top, a very puffy dress on the bottom, if they're about the same size, it's not gonna look that flattering to some people. You can make it work, but it's making sure that it's something I learned in graphic design. Size is definitely something that I feel is gonna help your silhouette. So if you're gonna have puffy sleeves and you want a puffy skirt underneath, I use these examples. Try not to make them the same size. Make one smaller, make one bigger. Asymmetry is one of the more popular routes I've seen a lot of people use. I don't use asymmetry that much in my designs personally, but that's just because I use a lot of the mirror. Let me see. Other things to avoid are clashing colors. So blending out the saturation and brightness of colors will help. If you use like a very, very neon pink, a very, very neon green, very, very neon orange, those colors can work together, but the same brightness will just make it an eyesore for people to see. So balancing it out with darks, pastels, brights, that's another thing I always suggest. Monochrome is which is basically just keeping it to a similar color. It can work. Again, just consider your lights, your darks. Keep it that kind of thing, I feel. Let me see. Other things I've been told to avoid. I'm trying to see if there was. Off the top of my head, I can't say I remember anything else, but I feel that those are the most common. Those are the most common issues I run into when designing. Is sometimes I will. I don't notice that the colors are too similar. Similar colors are gonna make details not stand out. So also keep that in mind that you want them to be a good contrast from each other. But other than that, I think that's all I really have for today. But
all right,
yeah,
beautiful.
I hope I wasn't too nervous. I know I'm still shaking, but thank you guys so much for having me.
You were great. Thank you so much for presenting today. We really appreciate it. Yeah, that's everything. Thank you guys so much for being here, for watching the presentation. Once again, if you are in Twitch, here are Adori's links. Make sure you go follow them on Twitter and Twitch. Adori, do you have any final parting words for the people?
Happy designing, guys. Honestly, you'll get better as you keep doing it. You'll get better. The more you practice, the more easier it gets to, and the harder it is to describe, as you can see here. And yeah, you can if you ever have any questions, you can find me on my socials, and I'll do my best to answer them. I always love answering questions and chatting
All
with
right.
y'all.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much once again for being here. We really appreciate it. That is all we have today. Please do keep an eye out for the next workshop. Vera, what do we got next?
Our next workshop.
Remind me.
Wait, sorry, I am on Twitch and I'm not.
Vera's dead. Goddamn.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I only
Oh,
unmuted on Twitch. Our next workshop is going to be on September 5th, and that is for configuring Streamlabs OBS. Just going through the
Woo!
basics and kind of a tutorial there.
Technical tutorials. Let's go.
Ooh, nice.
All right. That is everything. You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. That's it. We're done. We're also going to be doing an AMA tonight.